Hey guys, I'm going to review my trip to the Adelaide Film Festival, which I attended a few weeks ago. I saw 4 films while I was there. First film I saw was a combination of films. The new Adam Elliott short film, Ernie, Biscuit, and an Iranian film called 316. Now, Ernie Biscuit, loved it. Really excellent work by animator Adam Elliott. He's Australian, he's from Victoria actually. I thought it was a really great story, loved the animation. It was much more detailed animation than his last 2 projects of Harvey Crumpet and Mary and Max. I did however find, it was a good story. Wasn't his best though. I think I was more compelled by his other 2 stories. But that being said, it was a very, very enjoyable short film. And I can't wait to see what he has to do next. I'm very much hoping he does another full film like Mary and Max, because Mary Max was excellent. So the other film I saw in that one was 316. It was this Iranian film. Didn't really enjoy it that much. It was obviously done on a shoestring budget, and I liked the concept. So the concept was to show this life of this girl through the shoes she wore. I know that sounds kind of weird, but like the concept and the thought around it, it could have been something. I don't think it was done in the best way it could have been. Yeah, so, yeah, see, it wasn't really my thing. So for Ernie Biscuit, I'm going to give that one 3.5 stars now. And for 316, I gave it a pretty poor review before, but now I'm going to give it a, what am I going to give it? I'm going to give it a 2 out of 5. So the next film I saw was Freeheld by the writer of Philadelphia, and it starred Ellen Page, Julianne Moore, and Michael Shannon, and Steve Carell. I really, really enjoyed this film. I was a bit, whether it was going to be a good film, because there were a lot of good films on that time slot, but it was a very enjoyable film. Very good story. It wasn't action-packed, but no, I really enjoyed it, and I enjoyed it for the specific reason that it is about 2 women in a relationship, but there wasn't any preamble to kind of relate to the fact that, oh, this character, it was okay for her to be gay, and it just went straight into the story. And I think that was good, because it kind of just assumed that the audience would accept that, and as they should. And yeah, no, what I really found enjoyable was the relationship between the 2 characters was very it kind of went like this a bit. So Julianne Moore's character was a police officer. She contracts cancer, and she's very much the boss of the relationship at the start, because she's very secretive about keeping the relationship quiet. Whereas Ellen Page's character was more of a tomboyish kind of character and worked in a mechanics, but she became more of the emotional and heartfelt character during the struggle of her cancer treatment. Yeah, and I really enjoyed the 2 pairing. There was a really good casting. I thought it was a good film. I could think at times it could have been better. I think the introduction of the character of Steve Carell, I went with my cousin Molly to see it, and she hated that he was in it. Not because she quite likes him as a comedian, but she just didn't like the character, and the character, admittedly, was a total bastard. But she hated the introduction of this character, who was kind of an activist enforcing the gay marriage issue, and putting these 2 characters as the spotlight of it, which wasn't really what the 2 characters wanted. We went through such a emotional and sad kind of period that it needs something to spike it up with a bit of comedy, and Steve Carell definitely did it very well. I gave it a pretty good initial rating, and I'm going to stick by that rating, so I'm going to give it 4 stars. The film I saw on the Saturday, it was the opening weekend, was Spotlight, the new film about pedophilia in the Catholic Church, starring Mark Ruffalo, Michael Keating, Rachel McAdams. Excellent film. By far one of the best journalistic films I've seen in probably ever, actually. I rated it really highly when I saw it, because it left such an impact on me. I think that the actual film itself was good. It was good. It wasn't amazing, but the content of the story was so mesmerizing that this actually happened and this is all a true story, So what the story is it's about the 2006 Boston Globe newspaper investigation into pedophilia in the Catholic Church in Boston, and this led to a kind of widespread recognition of pedophilia in the Catholic Church. I found one of the most empowering moments to be actually right at the end, even after the film had run, because what they did was they ran the list of all the cities where pedophilic priests had been found in the world, and it just continued. It was flash a name of about 50 cities, and that continued for probably about a minute. It was just multiple pages of all these cities, and it was really actually shocking because the first name was Adelaide, Australia, and it was kind of, I had just come to Adelaide to see a movie, and Adelaide was number one. It was such a revealing film, it was such an intriguing film, because plot spoiler just a little bit. Even though this is a true story and you can look it up, but there is a revelation in the film and how they originally investigate 18 different people, and then they go to this expert who's been constantly trying to get the police and the papers involved in investigating this, and then his estimations of how many priests are close to 90, so it's almost 5 times what was originally thought, and it's so shocking and so wow. The content was just so dramatic. It was such a revelation kind of truth, just like a big truth bomb, truth bomb. And I was kind of mesmerized by just the content, let alone the excellent acting by the cast. Mark Ruffalo was pretty good. Rachel McAdams, excellent. Michael Keaton, excellent. Liev Schneider was very good in it as well. It was Stanley Tucci, Billy Crudup. Yeah, it was a great cast. Tom McCarthy directs it. I initially rated it extremely high. I gave it a 4, I believe. I gave it a high rating. And I'm going to back that up because I still believe that it was an excellent film. I'm going to back that up with a rating of 4 out of 5. So the final film I saw, I was in Adelaide for a couple days, but the final film I saw was The Lobster. Now this film, I will say definitively, was by far the strangest, wackiest film I've ever seen. And I was so perplexed at the time as soon as I finished watching it, because it was hilarious, but at the same time I was so, not confused, but I was so just what? Now on reflection, I did give it an average-ish review, but I'm going to change that, but I'll talk about that in a sec. Now the film is about, stars Colin Farrell, Rachel Weisz, in a very funny, kind of supporting role. Ben Whishaw and John C. Reilly, those two guys are really funny in this film. The story is about, plot spoiler, so the story is about, I'm not going to reveal the whole plot, it's about this kind of strange world in which if you are single, you get sent to I think it's called the hotel. The hotel? Yeah. Gets into the hotel, and with all these other single people, and if you can't find love in this hotel within, I think it's 45 days, you get turned into a lobster. That was one of the reasons I went and wanted to see this, because I'd heard that it was really good. And then I'd read the synopsis for it, and I was a bit okay. I don't know, I don't want anyone to take offense to this, but I feel like the film was written by someone who was autistic, because the timing of the comedy was just so peculiar. It was kind of dialogue, pause, dialogue, pause, dialogue, pause, but that was throughout the entire film, through all the actors. So the director, who's also the writer, Yorgos Lanthimos, seriously, just from someone who's directed and written a short film, or short films now, it's 2, just the way that the dialogue was scripted, it was just so, kind of frustrating in a way, because I was it's kind of mucked with my normal how it's done sense, but you gotta change the rules in film, otherwise the film movement will never move along. So on reflection, I actually kind of enjoyed it more when I thought about it afterwards, because it was so strange, but it was also so funny. And you know, and that's with any film festival. This was my first festival, but I found that if you're with people who are in a good mood and excited to see a film, you're obviously gonna enjoy it more and laugh along if other people are laughing along. It was a strange film, but it was really excellent. So I gave it an initially average rating. I'm gonna change that rating. I don't know if I can pick between. Okay, I'm going to give it 3.5. If I could give it a rating of between 3.5 and 4, I would, but I'm gonna say 3.5. So I hope you guys enjoyed my little review of my trip to Adelaide, to the Adelaide Film Festival. I had an awesome time, really enjoyed the film festival. It was kind of weird that I went to Adelaide to go to a film festival and they had a really great one in Melbourne, MIF, and I didn't even go, but I'll talk to you soon, guys.